Everyone sees the game. The lights, the moments, the headlines, that's the part they show you. But that's not the whole story. Because behind every win, there's something else. Pressure, decisions, sacrifice, things you don't hear about, things you're not supposed to see. I started noticing it. The gaps, the questions no one was asking, the stories no one was telling. Not because they weren't there, but because no one was looking. So I did. I stopped chasing just the highlights, and I started chasing the truth. The moments in between, the voices underneath, the stories behind the sport. Because what's real isn't always what's visible. We don't want you to hear, we want you to listen. Welcome into yet another exciting episode of BTS Behind the Sports Show. My name is Giovanna Scroggins. I am your host, coming to you live from my hometown, Dallas, Texas. And the reason why I bring that up is because the Dallas Wings WNBA draft was last night, and we got our first overall round pick. Ozzie Fudd is coming to Dallas, reuniting with Paige Beckers after they played together at UConn. And this season with Enrique is going to be electric. If you do not watch the W and you do not watch women's basketball, you are truly missing out. No matter what you can say, no matter how you compare it to other sports, other leagues, the WNBA is something special, and they are putting everyone on notice. I think this season is going to be electric, especially with the expansion teams. So make sure you're tuning in. Would love for y'all to follow along with me, learning more about the W, learning more about the players, and just elevating the sport of women's basketball. It is super exciting. This episode 9, season 2 of BTS, is a special one because not often do I get to talk to retired professional NFL players, but this person is so special in terms of being real and not gatekeeping his experience and being honest about how he felt and his emotions around the league and around how he was drafted and around his career. And it's also really inspirational to see what he's doing post being in the NFL and educating other athletes, whether it's football or esports. He is a special person. And speaking of esports, we bond because we're both really big gamers, and what he's been doing, it's kind of a full circle moment because I actually met him and was working on a little bit of his podcast in the video game kind of industry right after I graduated college. So it's a very full circle moment, and he's a very special guest. So without further ado, I give you BTS Season 2, Episode 9. All right, y'all, welcome back to yet another episode of Behind the Sports Show. I did my intro, so I'm not going to get into the whole spiel already, but I want to welcome in kind of a full circle moment for me because I actually worked with Amon in one of my previous jobs briefly when I graduated college, but it's so great to have him on the show. Amon is a decorated, retired NFL player and has done a bunch of podcasts, has his own show, is doing a bunch of really cool stuff for charity, and is a gamer at heart, and I can always appreciate a good gamer. Amon, welcome on to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good, Giovanna. How you doing?
So good, even better now because I'm in the presence of a gamer. We'll get into the gamer stuff later because I'll get a little geeky and nerdy on that. But I want to start, for those that don't know Amon Green and your career in the NFL, let's start there. Talk to me about football, your story, your journey from college through the league. You know, you played with the Packers, which is kind of like the main stint of your career. But I want to start from the beginning. What did it take for you to get into the league for you personally?
I say personally was one, I had to obviously get ready for the combine and physically show that I can do it because the scouts didn't think I could. And a lot of people probably don't know that, you know. So I came out of Nebraska, even though we won a national title the year I came out. And actually I had 2 national titles under my belt when I came out early as a junior. You know, I was the Orange Bowl MVP of the national title game where we beat Peyton Manning and Tennessee Volunteers. And I go out to California the week after that game to start my combine training, and went all through the rigors of that, grinding, getting ready, running, jumping, going, making sure, doing my interview questions on teams, or they're going to interview me in Indianapolis when I get out there to, at that time, the RCA Dome, wasn't Lucas Oil Field then. Um, so I went through the whole process, and it was a tough, I say it was kind of a tough decision because I was a junior and everybody in Nebraska wanted me to come back. The fans, oh, let's come back for one more year. And, I sat and thought about it, and I kind of made it because of a family decision. I was a new dad. I had a daughter that was, probably a year old. And so I wanted to support my family. And of course, the media, I say, yeah, the media and the fans didn't take likely to me going pro. They were mad, they were upset, they were, shunning me away from being a Husker now. And it's like, wait a minute. I'm like, other guys before me came out early. Why are you mad at me so much? Maybe because I'm a homeboy. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Even though I grew up in Los Angeles, California, I went to high school at two high schools in Omaha North and Central. So maybe that was the case. So going through that process was interesting. It was a learning experience, right? I'm in the real world now. I'm out in California training by myself for a little bit. One of my older brothers was out me for about 2.5 months to kind of just, guide me along, help me out with the apartment and all that stuff that I was living at the time. And soon, I learned that, okay, yeah, I'm living in an apartment, but that's a bill I got to take care of once I get drafted. That my agent is paying for that apartment for those 3-4 months, So I'm like getting all this information, like this is it. This is the real world. So you're a grown person. You gotta pay bills. You do things that you think is free, and it's nope, you gotta pay back later. So it's like, wow. So I learned right away, one, don't worry about that stuff. It'll take care of itself when it take care of. Let me focus on my job, which is getting in shape for the combine, to run fast, to jump high, to catch balls. So physical part, mentally get ready for that. And I did. I did an amazing job. I had great coaches. Frank Baskerville, who was my sprint coach, Chuck Williams was my physical weightlifting coach, and they all got me ready. And so the only crazy thing happened was a week before my combine in Indianapolis, I strained my groin muscle in my right leg. And I'm just sitting there like, no. And my agent said, you know what, just go out there. Just go and see what you could do. I had a week, so it held up a little bit. I was still able to run. Thank God I didn't pop nothing. And I ran a 4.49, which is not bad. It's not slow. It's not the greatest, So it was still something that I knew I could go faster. Like in high school, I was a 4.2 guy, easy, and 4.3 all the time. And so running a 4.49, some of the scouts obviously, oh yeah, there he is. This is the type of running back he is. He did all this in Nebraska, but he's not, he's not fast, he's not tough and all this. And I'm like, it just happened. It's just an injury that happened. I can't control it. So I'm gonna do what I can do. I caught all the passes thrown my way. The experience was interesting too. I remember getting a phone call at 12 midnight to come do an interview with I can't remember what team it was, but I'm like, excuse me, sir, it's 12 o'clock. I'm trying to sleep. I got to run in the morning, and I got to be ready at 6 o'clock to get to my group. And so I cannot come do the interview. And click, I went to sleep.
Yeah. Wow, you told them no?
No, because it's like, I'm there. Yeah, I mean, I understand the interview part.
You gotta respect your time, though.
Yes, respect it's 12 a.m. I got to be up at 6. It's like, nah, I can't do this right now. And so I did my running and jumping and everything, but then got into interviews. Never found out. I can't remember to this day what team that was, but I went through the interview process, talking to Kansas City, talking to the New York Giants, I think, and a few other teams. And it was interesting. That part was interesting. The combine, all in itself, was definitely an interesting experience because it was like I had my mind kind of was in a place about NFL, what I saw on TV, right? What we all see. Monday Night Football, the Super Bowl, big games, rivalry games. But then now we're in the nitty gritty stuff. So this is where the players get selected and all this. And I'm like, it kind of was like a little bit of like not I want to say disorganized, but it was like interesting because it was like they had a big old banquet room where we had to come and get examined by all the 30 at that time 31 team doctors, team trainers. And so they're kicking the tires. They're basically checking under the hood to see what type of player physically you are, like how many injuries had, and from shoulder to neck to knee to ankle, whatever. They're checking all your stats. So they're asking you, when was the last injury you had? And I'll say twisted ankle, you know, last season against this team. And so what I figured out real fast, one, the tables for all 31 teams, they were literally maybe 4 feet from each other, 5, 10, 6 feet. They weren't far apart. They were earshot away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I talked to the Cincinnati Bengals and said, hey, I had a A1 separation in my shoulder against Washington. I had a twisted ankle, two games after that. And so then I go to the next table and repeat the same thing. And I'm like, hold up. About the third or fourth table, I said, can't you just hear me over there and just write down notes? They said, no, we want you to hear. We want to hear it from your mouth and not, while you're talking to them. I'm just like, are you serious? That's like, I got 28 more teams to go talk to. And I'm going to
The same
repeat
thing
all of this.
over and over again.
I was like, what's going on here? Really? I was like, oh my God, y'all acting like some teenagers here. So yeah, went through that and was like, wow, okay. That was like my eye-opener moment. Like, hey, rookie, I'm like, this is it? I got treated better in Nebraska and in high school and doing things, right? Like, my goodness, but okay, here we go. This is where the big money's at, right? And so that got through that. Like I said, was mediocre in my 40, because I knew I could run faster. And so I had 2 weeks to get ready for my pro day in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I got ready. And so, long story short of it, Frank Baskerville, my sprint coach, Chuck, they got me, tuned up. They got me all ready because it's like, all right, you healed up fast from that groin. We're going to make sure you go fast. He's like, Frank is like, you're going to go fast. I already know it, that you got motivation from being hurt. Now, let's crank this out. And sure enough, he goes there with me. And I'm back on my own stopping ground. So I know around town, we get there early. We get there about an hour early to warm up and everything. I see some of my teammates that are seniors. And long story short of it, I go out there for the 40. I crank out a 417 and then a 418 back to back. And when I ran the first one, everybody, all the scouts and all the coaches that were there, all you could hear is, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, he just went fast, like Bo Jackson fast, like Deion Sanders fast. Like, this is amazing. Like, nobody expected this. He ran 4.49 at the combine, thinking, oh, he'll probably put out a 4.38 or a 4.39. No, he just went. He almost cut that in half. So people were impressed. They were shocked. And then other things. I bench pressed what I did at the combine, a couple reps more. I had 26 reps for 225 at the combine, and my pro day at 28 reps. I jumped 41.5 inches from my vertical. My pro agility was 392, which is amazingly fast of change of direction. So I just impressed. I did everything that you would want at a pro day. Like, whatever perfect thing at moment of a job interview you want to do, that happened basically. Because job interviews in the other, in other parts of the world, it's suit and tie. You answer all the questions correctly. So I basically did that. That's what a pro day and that's what the combine is. It's our job interview. So it's a physical one though. And I just aced it, right? Well, at least I thought I aced it, right? But in my head, I aced it. So I go back to my hotel room, sleep, wake up, jump on the plane back to California just to kind of do some more training to get ready for mini camp. And then draft come by. And long story short of it, I get drafted third round, the 17th pick. In my head, thinking the last person I know that went 4-1 between Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, they were a first round draft pick. And I actually overheard a couple of coaches saying Amon Green's stock just went up. He didn't help his game. He helped his cause of getting drafted in the first round. He should go. If he does not go first round, I don't know what's going on. I heard that conversation happen. And of course, I was a football fan. I grew up watching sports. I grew up watching the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, track. So I understood what fast was, what being strong was, being dynamic in a sport. And then to find out that I did the best, but it didn't matter to nothing, because if anybody else would have done this, they would have been drafted first round. Like I probably should have went like number 10 overall, somewhere in there.
Mm.
But I'm going number, was it 76th pick to the Seattle Seahawks. And so I was pissed off. I'll kick it real. You talking about being pissed. I was so pissed to where I made a pact to myself. I told myself, hey, for every team that I play against my rookie year, I'm gonna give it to them.
Mm.
I'm gonna hit everybody on the football field if I can. I'm gonna try to hit the coach too, because you didn't draft me. I'm gonna run into him on purpose, right? This, like, I was running out of bounds. Boom, take that hit. You didn't draft me. I ran 4-1. You should have put me on this team. Just that was my mind. I was hurt.
You
I
were
cried.
fired up.
Yeah, when I found the news after I got drafted. I got drafted the same year as Randy Moss, Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, all those guys, Charles
Yeah.
Woodson.
Yeah.
Like me and those guys, we've been knowing each other since our junior years of college, high school. And we were the top recruits coming out in 1995. So we already knew each other. And so for us and me in that draft class was like a fantastic draft class. But me being one of the fastest out of all those guys, especially Randy Moss, and me not go as high as he did was like hurtful. I cried that night after the draft. I went to my room to my older brother and cried myself to sleep, because it's just like, it's unfair. Something ain't right. I do everything perfect. Like there was no other things I could do in that combine test to say that he should go at least to the Super Bowl team, first round.
Yeah.
Whoever won the Super Bowl.
Looking back on it now, do you understand why that you were taking that, or have you even tried to justify why, even though, like you said, like it was kind of out of your control, but
yeah,
did you have you thought about why?
Yeah, no, I thought about why, and I found out why. And I talked to scouts. I talked to scouts with the Seahawks. I talked to scouts once I got traded to Green Bay. And they basically said and this showed me another angle of what the NFL really is. So they judged me off my athletic ability. You would think that would have been my athletic ability that I showed them on the field. No, they were still stuck on the fact that my offensive line was the best in college football. Okay. And we were a team, and they've been putting out running backs before me that done what I done, 1,800 yards, 2,000 yards because of the offensive line. So they're saying I'm a system running back. And then on top of that, if you remember, it was a young man by the name of Lawrence Phillips that went before me who had off the field issues. Again, out of my control, even though he was my teammate and friend, they compared me to him, saying, oh, he could be a problem like Lawrence too. And I'm like, wow, they just judging on me and never even met me.
Wow.
And so the scouts from Seahawks mentioned that. They also mentioned, oh, well, you never, with all that offensive line blocking and you barely getting hit, you might be injury prone. I'm like, so you're just speculating right at this moment.
How am I injury prone when I've never been injury prone?
Correct. And I'm like, it sounds like y'all just speculating as scouts. Oh, he can't last 4 quarters. He doesn't have endurance. I was like, yeah, because we're up 50 points. Well, I'm going to play the whole game. When we're up by 50 points, I need to come out, get ready for the next game and the next game. And why I was part of 2 national title teams. So their thinking was like, told me right there was a deficit in scouting in football. I don't know about baseball. I don't know about basketball, track and hockey, but in soccer and volleyball, all them other sports. But I know in football, it was a deficit. It was gatekeeping going on because they saw another Lawrence Phillips. They saw another Nebraska running back through history.
System.
We put out good running backs. We had Mike Rozier back in the early 80s. He was a 10-year running back in the NFL, played for the Houston Oilers.
Dog.
You had then Lawrence Phillips, even though he had his off the field stuff, if he didn't have that, he would have had a fantastic career. He was a Heisman hopeful his sophomore and junior year, my freshman year. Then it was me. And I came out did my thing, took the team to a national title my freshman year, took the team to a national title my junior year. And so they don't see leadership. They didn't see, me and going through injuries and playing my sophomore year with a turf toe, and I still had 900 yards. What else do I got to display to show you that I'm eligible to be drafted in the first round? So that's why I told myself, when I play any other team that passed me over, they're going to get the business, period, point blank. And so in Seattle, I didn't get a whole lot of play time there. I was mostly a special teamer because Ricky Waters, he was a veteran, played for San Francisco, got some Super Bowl rings. I know the business, so I'm like, understandable. Not mad at that, not mad at him. This is just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
He gets free agent, he gets paid the big bucks, so they're gonna start him over me, even though my teammates were like, Amon, you're better than Ricky. Like,
at least they were keeping it real.
Yeah,
at least they were keeping it real.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, they're like, why are you not starting? I'm like, well, because I don't want to get cut.
Rookie over
I'm okay. I'm a rookie. Go ahead and you're a veteran. You've been here for 10, 9, 8.
You advocate on my behalf. Yeah.
Boom. Exactly. You go do it. I'm okay with special teams. I know what I got to do. I got to develop.
I know my place.
I got to, grow in this position. I got to learn, to be a professional on and off the field. It's no rush. I'm only in my first year, and in my second year, same thing. And then I got traded. So that trade was interesting because I had no idea what was going to happen. I had Mike Holmgren in my second year in Seattle. He was a Super Bowl winning coach with Green Bay. He comes to Seattle to be the head coach and the GM, and he brings his coaching staff, Mike Sherman, and a few other guys that were in Green Bay with him. And so I have a good season that second year, a little adjustment because of new offense. I go from Nebraska's offense to I had Dennis Erickson my rookie year, and now Mike Holmgren. So 3 different offenses in 3 years. So that's like going from Spanish to Mandarin to speaking German, in
the playbooks and memorizing that. I can only imagine how that, and that's what people don't understand about players being traded. It's like, either if you're happy or sad, however you fall on the end of the spectrum, for a player and humanizing what they're going through, not only are they moving their whole life, their whole family, but now coming into a whole different offense, learning a new playbook, having new coaches, having a new quarterback, having a new offensive line. Like, that is a lot.
And I was able to handle it because I say, one, the way my mom and dad raised me, my dad was an offensive lineman, my stepdad. My 2 older brothers were running backs. And then once they got done playing football, they were a police officer, and one went to the Army, So I had that around me. I had an older sister. She taught me how to take care of myself mentally and physically, and nutritionally wise. I could, even though I didn't want to eat all the stuff she was throwing my way, but I'm like, why do these burritos taste like bark? Like, I'm mad at the taco that I'm eating, and it's like, this ain't Taco Bell. She's like, don't eat that food. That's terrible. It's bad for you.
Impossible meat.
Right. This is back in the 80s. So my mom and my sister was already ahead of the game, like teaching me nutritional stuff that I need to know. But I'm 8, and I'm like, I want sweet stuff. I want salty stuff. I want a soda pop. I'm thirsty. She's like, boy, here, take some water.
Take some water.
So I had an upbringing where I knew what my value was, from my work ethic. Like, if I put in the work, then I should get rewarded for it. If I didn't put in the work, don't ask for nothing. So that's what I was looking at when I didn't get drafted in the first round. I put the work in. What other player that year ran another 4.1? I don't think nobody did. I was it in 1998. So of course, like I said, that carried with me. And so when Holmgren came in with the new offense, had a good second year. And then he tells me, and this is why I didn't know that trade was coming, because one, at the end of the season, Mike Holmgren tells me, Amon, you had a great season your rookie year or your second year. You kind of struggled in the beginning, which I did because it was a whole new language I had to pick up in terms of the plays, but I got it. And he's like, well, you keep this up, you could push Ricky Waters for the starting job. And then that's all I needed to hear. I was like, oh, it's on competition. That's me. I love competition. When I was a kid, it didn't matter. I was 7 years old in the neighborhood in LA playing against 14, 15-year-olds. Playing football. So it was like game over. I say, I love Ricky. He's a teammate, but if I got to be the guy, I'm going to be the guy, And that's where I think a professional athlete, no matter their sport, they got to understand that. You can't take losing a job to the better person personal. It just is what it is. If somebody's better than you, they're better than you, you know. And I learned that as a kid. So for me, when I heard that, I'm like, boom, done. I already know I'm already working hard. I'm gonna be ready to go. I'm only that time 22 years old. I'm wet behind me. I'm green and all that. Why you want to call me? I'm young, but I'm hungry. And so 2 months after that, 3 months after that, here come the draft. And literally a day before the draft, I get a phone call from my dad. He calls me up, son. He's like, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm outside cooking hamburgers for your granddaughter. It's her birthday." I said, "What's up, Dad? Hey, what's going on?" He said, "Nothing much. You're a Packer now." I'm like, "Huh?" I said,
So
"Time
they
out."
didn't even you found out from a phone call by
From
your
my
dad.
my stepdad. Yes.
Wow.
I said, "Huh?" He said, "I am not joking. I won't joke on stuff like this.
Yeah.
I will not. Go inside, turn the ESPN. They about to make the official announcement." So I said, "All right, Dad, bye. Let me call you back." Click, go inside, turn on the ESPN. It's Trey Ringo. Says, right when I turn on TV, this, and Amon Green traded to the Green Bay Packers for Fred Vinson and the 5th-round conditional pick. Boom. I'm like, really? So, of course, call my agent. Boop, 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 boop. Joby. Amon, I just found out myself too. I'm like, what is going on?
That's crazy how that works. It
You
really is
know?
crazy.
Yes. So that's how I found out. So again, now, like you talked about already, changing over, right? And I'm like, am I gonna, like, what's Green Bay like? I'm like, it's the Midwest again. I'm like, I just got out the Midwest. I don't want no more Midwest weather. That was the only thing I had a gripe about. That was it. I was done with snow. I thought I'd be in Seattle for 10 years and ready to, call it a career. Great weather up there. You don't need AC units in the houses, no humidity. It was like, this is beautiful, And now I'm back in the Midwest. Of course, somewhere where it snows way worse than Lincoln, Nebraska, or Omaha, Nebraska. It's like it is the North Pole in Green Bay up there. So I'm like, okay, so me thinking ahead, like, okay, we're driving across America back to the Midwest. It's me and my at that time, my wife and my 1.5-year-old daughter, Amani, driving back, and we have a dog named Snoop Dogg. Actually, he was my favorite rapper, so I named my dog. He was a Lhasa Terrier mix. So I'm like, in my head, like, all right, we're going to be driving in a couple weeks or in a month or so, whatever. I'm like, okay, this how this thing go. I had no idea, but here we go. So I go out to the Green Bay. So it's a mini camp right after the draft. They do mini camps, like an early mini camp. And since Green Bay had a new coach, the teams that get new coaches hired, they have an extra mini camp. So this was our extra mini camp to introduce ourselves, the players, free agent, draftees, all that, to the new head coach and each other. So I
Who
go
was
out there.
the head coach at the time?
So the good thing was I impressed Mike Sherman, who was our offensive coordinator in Seattle that 1999 season. So he got hired in Green Bay. So he liked me. He brought me over. And so that helped out. So it's good me doing my job, right? Not being the starter, but still working hard, busting my butt. And I did get in on offense a little bit. I remember at a point during the season, the middle part of the 99 season, I was part of the third down package. So when it was third down and long or third down and medium, I went out on the field to get a first down. And then after that, come out. So I end up becoming the highest rated conversion running back for third down and long. So I got basically every time I test the ball, catch or run, I got a first down. So I had the highest percentage among running backs. So that right there was maybe one of many things that Coach Sherman was like, all right, I like this kid. This is who I want first. And so Ron Wolf, the GM for Green Bay at the time, came, he called him up, and I talked to him this was years later. He told me how that all went down. And it was Mike Holmgren. He found, my rookie year or my second year when Holmgren came in, like I said, struggled with the playbook a little bit. So with that struggle, my gameplay kind of fell down, and I was, fumbling the ball. I was going the wrong way. on some plays, but he called me a fumbler. He's like, "Oh, Mon Green's a fumbler. I'm not a big fan of that. This, that, and the other." And so I'm like, "What?" He said, "What?" And remember, I'm a third round draft pick kid from Nebraska. He's a Super Bowl winning coach on two teams, the 49ers and the Packers, because he coached Steve Young and all those guys, Jerry Rice and stuff back in the late 80s, early 90s. And he, so his word is gold, It's like, oh man, so I got to fight that. This coach just kind of put me down. And so everybody thought I was a fumbler, except for Mike Sherman. Mike Sherman's like, don't worry about it. No, not Mike Sherman, Ron Wolf. He's like, you know what? He's like, guys fumble the ball. Quarterback throws interceptions. So what? He said, but you get yards. When you get the ball, you get yards. And he said, that's why I wanted you. And that's why I came and got you. And I knew Mike Holmgren had you in his doghouse with the whole fumble thing. I remember when I saw the interview and I said, ooh, I got something. If you ever come up on the slate, I know what to throw at Mike. I'm going to go get you. And that's what he did. He's like, he's been around since the Raiders with Al Davis. So he knows football players.
Yeah.
And so finally got scouted right. I found somebody that knew their stuff about scouting and didn't gatekeep on what was my past or whatever. And it's like, hey, I got a football player right here. He wants to play. And boom, gave me my shot. And that's where I got my shot in Green Bay. And, Dorsey Levens was the guy. And we became good friends. We're still friends to this day. And he was a mentor. He helped me out. He's a big brother, another big brother. And he was telling me things about the game, about life, taught me how to, I remember one day he walked into the cafeteria with this big old, it looked like a small, Iron Man suitcase. And it had vitamins in it. It was called VitaCube. And I'm like, Dorsey, what's that? He's like, it has all my vitamins that I need to sustain, maintain my body throughout the season. This company just came out a couple years ago called VitaCube. I'm like, all right. I said, let me check it out. I looked at it. He kind of, tells you vitamin C, omega 3s, B12, iron, and all that. And I'm like,
wow,
how can I get a part of that? I want some of that. I want to make sure
I need some of that.
I need some of that. I want to be healthy on the inside too. And so he's like, he gave me the phone number, told me, it showed me the prices. And I'm like, okay, this is doable. And it's a write-off. This is my business. So took that and never looked back, and still working, doing stuff with them. And I did some events with them over the years, but he didn't have to show me that, and he did. He helped me become more professional, taking care of my body and stuff like that. So compare Green Bay to Seattle, night and day. I had teammates in Seattle that wouldn't barely even look at me.
Wow.
Or they would harass me, about college. Like I remember one of my teammates, he played at Colorado, another one played at Miami, another one played at Texas A&M, and they were hating on me. I'm like, bro, that was college. Matter of fact, I didn't even play against. Right, I didn't even play against Miami. So why are you mad at me when that was a whole nother team? It's like this is high school all over again. I'm like, what is going on? So I get to Green Bay. It was like I had been there before. Like I have been drafted there. Open arms, Dorsey, William Henderson, Leroy Butler, Brett Favre, Gilbert Brown. They just, hey man, how you doing? You need some help. You need to know what you got. You got wife, kid. This neighborhood is like this. The grocery store is over there. They're telling me these are the players, not the player, not the. They have a I forgot
like a
the
coordinator,
name.
like
coordinator to help you get introduced. No, these are the players telling me De Pere is probably the best neighborhood. If you got a family, this neighborhood is like this, or there's a grocery store. It was from the players more than that person that was paid by the team to help me get adjusted to Green Bay. And so I knew I was in a good spot. And then beyond that too, looking at the fandom, I'm like, wait a minute, Packer fans, they just as crazy as Husker fans. So I'm like, I'm in a good spot. And so from that first mini camp on, I knew I was in a good spot. Like I mentioned, it was in a good place. These guys welcomed me in, and now I could just focus on football. I ain't got to worry about who's going to harass me, who's going to throw my helmet in the cold tub, or say that, they hate me because I'm a Husker. You need to get over that, bro. Ain't you like 40? Like, and get over it. Like, come on. I'm like, all right, none of that in Green Bay. But and so that was the key factor and where my success came from, because I had the support of what I had in Nebraska, and
Mhm.
at the college. I had my teammates supporting each other. They're supporting me. I was supporting them. Like it felt like high school again, right? It was like I was around my friends that I was hanging out every day. And I think being a small city, that's why it was, because it wasn't much to do in Green Bay.
Yeah.
My highlight of the week was going to Best Buy to get the new movies out, because that was Tuesday. The movies come out on Tuesday at Best Buy. That was my highlight of the week. I was like, oh, it's Best Buy Tuesday, going to get the new movies.
That should we should coin that as a term. Best by Tuesdays. Sponsor
Was
us.
fire.
I mean, I first of all, I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I have laughed when somebody's telling their story. But I feel like, and I want to get back to the draft a little bit since it's coming
Mhm.
up soon. But I'm so glad you shared your story and you shared the real side of your
Mhm.
story and the human side of your story. Because again, the reason why I started the show is to humanize athletes and people.
Yes.
Like there's a fandom a part of every single sport, and it's great. That's what jazzes athletes
Mhm.
up, like having millions of people believe in them to go out there and get that touchdown or to score points or whatever. But there's also the side of it that can be very toxic and
Mhm.
negative, and you don't, as fans, you don't necessarily appreciate like what y'all go through on a daily
Yes.
basis, from your relationships to your family to your kids to your spouse to your players and your teammates to your
Yeah.
like there's just so much. So I'm so glad that you shared the real of your
Yes.
story. And
Yes.
since the draft is coming up, I'm curious
Okay.
your thoughts on the draft process right now, because I feel like the combine back when you were going through it, there was more of an emphasis on it, I feel like, versus now. I mean, there's still the combine, you still have to go out and
Right.
perform, but there's like, I feel like less of a like, this is a make or break point for you in the combine. I feel like there's more leeway. And now with the draft coming up, I'm
Yeah.
curious what your thoughts are going to be on some of the young cats coming up that are going to
Yeah.
get drafted right now.
Yeah. I think like today, the combine is a spectacle.
Mm.
It's a show. If there were cameras there, and people, photographers there for my time in 1998. But it didn't go on live. They like took the video, took the picture, and then edited out whatever they needed to edit out. Now they have a camera going 24/7, 365.
On
And
ESPN.
yeah, in terms of combine stuff, right? And even on the draft day, behind the scenes, like my draft day was an 8 hour, 9 hour day from the time it started. And I was in California. So that means I was on Pacific time when the combine started at 12 p.m. Eastern time. It was 9 a.m. West Coast time. So I sat there for those 9, 10, 12 hours watching guys that I was in high school with. We were top 25 best athletes in the country. And, I'm just watching, Charles Woodson, Curtis Enos, uh, Randy Moss, Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, all these guys that I was top 10 athletes with in high school just 3 years ago. And now I'm like, now I want to say bottom of the barrel, but I'm in the mediocre area. I'm a third
Mm.
rounder, right? And that's just keeping it real. I'm not, that's where you hear diamonds in the rough, because of that's what happens. It was a lot of, I believe this is where I know, like, I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm gonna be real. A lot of gatekeeping, especially with me, to say that, oh, he might be another byproduct of Lawrence Phillips. He might be that type of guy where he has problems off the field and he's going to be need to be babysat and all this, or he was in a system to have good running backs. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove him wrong. And so for the combine to the draft, like, it's all an entertainment thing. That's it. Look at it. It's like watching a movie.
Mm.
Behind the scenes at draft, I've been to several drafts in the last 5, 6 years. Like when they start rotating the draft, then that's when I started going, and found out real quick, just like the combine, It's all for show. I'm watching. I remember last year's draft in Green Bay. I remember walking through this area where they had created, because Green Bay obviously was a very questionable place to have the draft, right? Especially in April. The weather might be bad. I mean, I've been in April in Green Bay where it was a blizzard during the days that they were planning this. But thank God, Lord willing, Mother Nature willing, it was just little rain came through. But this back area where they created like a studio green area for all the draft picks and their families to wait until their name got called, I thought it was very cool. But they're just sitting back there on couches, chilling, just waiting. They're ordering food. They're hungry. It's that's type of atmosphere. Where's the bathroom? I gotta use the bathroom. It's Jalen Monroe's grandmother have to go to find the potty. It's stuff like that. That's the NFL. That is what's going on. Nothing spectacular. Yeah, we're just sitting there waiting. The only cool thing is you get to eventually your name's gonna get called. You walk out on the stage for like maybe 5 minutes, and then you're back
Maybe.
behind. Yeah, and then you're back. And once you get picked, that's it. You could go home. You don't have to wait around unless you are somebody that won the national title and broke some records and won the Heisman. Maybe you have to stick around for a little bit more conversation. But once you get picked, it's bye. We'll see you at the minicamp.
Get ready.
that's yeah, get ready. See you at minicamp. That's it. So it's. I mean, I'm not a hater of the NFL. I appreciate the opportunity I gotten, but I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the things, and I'm not saying it to say like to say it's a terrible thing, because it's giving young men an opportunity to live out their dreams. That's what it did for me. But on the flip side, just like
For
the way I
business.
was raised, yeah, it's business. The way I was raised was to keep things real, be honest, but and be real about things. And so the business side of it is you just got to make sure your business is together, right? You got to make sure physically and mentally you're on point, but you're human.
Mm,
You can sometimes you're not in the right mindset. Sometimes your body's not ready to perform. So you got to manage that. And I think that's the biggest thing for any young athlete. And this is all professions of physical sports, where because I lived a life where between the stuff that happened to me in my first 2 years, I think would have crushed a lot of athletes.
mm.
To know they ran broke records at a pro day, and then find out they get drafted first round, third round. I know guys were telling me, bro, I would have quit. I'm like, yeah, I can't. It wasn't no time for me to quit. I had to keep pushing along. I
Yeah.
tell people that. After I get to Green Bay, I got stuff going on, and personally with my wife, and we have been high school sweethearts, but she just wasn't on the same page as me, and we went through hell and high water between each other. And I can say this honestly, it was all on her. It wasn't on me. And I had to deal with that, you
Mm,
know. But nobody, I mean, I won't say nobody knew. A few of my teammates knew. I told some of them. But
mm.
my thing when, even though I told those few guys and their wives that this was going on in my home, I said, but I'm not gonna let it, mess up what I gotta do on the football field.
Right.
That's
And there's
that's
also the media aspect that you don't
oh
even want
yes,
that information out there because you have a kid involved too.
correct.
So that alone, like the personal life, you just it's honestly better to just keep it out because then once that media or once that reporter gets a
Yep.
whiff of what's going on, it's going to be blasted on every magazine, on TMZ, on Sports Center, like
Ah,
all the
e-
network. So I can
exactly.
understand why you
Yeah.
wanted to keep
So
it
so
hush
I
hush.
say for yeah, so I say for the athletes, for your personal life to your on game life, it's a thin line.
Mm,
And people, and that's where we're talking about fans and everything. You know what? We're human. We're
yeah.
not superheroes. We're out here doing something that we put in our head as 5, 6 year olds, and we made it. But that don't make us not human. Like we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do things that we shouldn't have been doing. We're gonna do great things too. But don't put us on this pedestal so high that we're right next to God. Like, no, we're not. We are flesh and blood. We're gonna get hurt. We're gonna get bothered. We're gonna be irritated. We may not want to sign autographs at this time.
Mm,
But as an athlete, you had to think on your toes. You're like, all right, I'm not in the mood to sign autographs, but I will say this: next time you see me, I'll be, I'm not in a good mood. You have to articulate. I learned how to do that, manage that that roller coaster of emotion. Sometimes when I wasn't in the mood to talk, you know what? Let me tell this fan in the best way I can. Say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not having a great day. Maybe next time when I see you or you're around, then I would sign an autograph. But I got to get going with my family, or I gotta get out of here. And so I say that because that's where the fan base is like, they want to make one incident, spoil one rotten apple spoils them all. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, we're not all this. You got to think about it. You mentioned it already, Giovanna. Everybody's pulling on us.
Yeah.
We got people that want to interview us. A local beat writer wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
But we got to go home because it's our daughter's birthday, or my mom is sick, or we got problems. We got things good and bad happen to us too.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we got to manage it with this thing called a career. And it's the one thing, I think the one job in professional sports is the only job where sometimes you don't have time for yourself.
Mm.
And you got to find time. You got to carve it out on your own. Because during the regular season, it's all on the team. NBA, MLB, NHL, track, football, now volleyball. We got professional volleyball popping up. We have ladies football popping up. They know that life. And
Yeah.
so you got to be locked in, and you got to learn how to manage that. And that's another part of being a professional,
Mm.
so.
I love that you mentioned professional volleyball. 2 episodes ago now, we just interviewed a professional volleyball player, and it opened my eyes to the world of volleyball. And here in Dallas, we got a new team. And so
Yeah.
I encourage everyone listening right now to go check out that episode. And then our previous BTS episode was with an official. She's heavily involved in flag football, heavily involved in the women's football league, the
Yep. I
actual
love it.
tackle football league, and she played in it.
Amazing.
And then she's also like a replay assistant in the NFL now. So two really good, amazing women trailblazing in their own rights and their own sports.
Right.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that. Let's kind of put a pin in your story. I want to kind of go back to it towards the end of the episode about like retiring, coming out of the league. But I want to pivot and talk about what you're doing now, because I think it's fascinating when a retired professional athlete can use their voice, use their brand to make a lifestyle for themselves after they get out of the league, and not from a person that's a Peyton Manning or Eli Manning that
or Tom
already
Brady.
has the name behind them. Not
Joe
saying
Montana. No, those guys have got it good. Even during
it's
their career and after their career, it's like, oh, you good. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
Because it was already solidified during their career. That's the difference. For guys that can, like you, that have still achieved so many things and have so many accolades, you still got to work a little bit once you get out of that league to increase that brand. So talk about what you're doing now. I wanna give the audience what Amon Green's Gamer Lounge is and all the other stuff that you do.
Yeah, so I'll start with that. So Amon Green's Gamers Lounge just came from me thinking about what I love to do outside of football. I my last year in the NFL, unofficially, I say that because it's a funny story behind it. Unofficially was 2009, but officially 2 years later in 2011, I remember something got me to think about, like, I never had a press conference and announced my retirement. And so I ended up talking to my agent first, said, hey, Carmen, I never officially retired. And He said, well, they usually don't. Like, they retire you just, when you're inactive for a year, you're retired. And I'm like, what? I was like, okay. I said, can I? So I could basically call the Packers and say, hey, I want to set up a press conference. He's like, yep. And I did that.
2 years later.
2 years later, I officially called the Packers and said, hey, I want to do a press conference. What's the next available day? Oh, we could do it next Tuesday, Amon. Book it. And I did. I came in a suit and tie, announced that I officially retired, talked about my last couple of years, and this, that, and the other. And it was crazy. So fast forward to probably around 2015, 2016.
Mm.
Me and my wife, right before we were going to go to the 50th Super Bowl. So this past year was the 60th. It was in San Francisco again, too.
Crazy.
And right before that, from '09 to 2015, my daily schedule, if I wasn't coaching at the time, I was coaching high school sports in Wisconsin. I coached my stepson his senior year. We went to the playoffs. We was 10-1. We lost on a Hail Mary, but it was crazy. But he was all state running back. So I got to be a part of that. It was fantastic.
Mm.
His two sisters were awesome athletes and smarty pants. They GPA, they were like honor roll students. So me being a dad was like awesome, right? I could now be a dad and coach and teach and all this stuff. And so at the same time, I'm playing my video games, when I got time for myself. And one of my friends, I can't remember who it was, but they told me, "Hey man, are you on Twitch?" And I'm like, "What the hell is Twitch?" He said, "You play video games all the time. You just go on there and broadcast it's like your own TV show." I'm like, "Huh?" And somehow, I mean, I'm on Xbox Live, I'm on PlayStation, I'm on Nintendo handhelds, and I'm like, how do I miss? Because I've been to conventions. Like, I go to I go to, at that time I was going to San Diego Comic Con every year. I
Mm.
was going to E3 in Los Angeles every year, and it's like, how did I miss this thing called Twitch? How? And so as soon as I heard about it, I go home, Google it. And I'm like, oh my God, look at this. It's a place where people are playing video games, talking to people in the chat
And making money?
and making money. Why in the hell I just find this out in it's the latter part of 2015 going in 2016, right before the Super Bowl. And so I start doing my thing. I start reaching out to people. I'm like, hey man, do you know about Twitch? Do you know about this? Oh yeah, da 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 da. And finally I got connected with somebody at Twitch. And at the time, he was one of their higher ups, but he was a 20 something. He's part of some multi-billion-dollar company worldwide, and his name is John Ima. He actually played basketball down here somewhere in Texas. Like he was either at was it Arlington or UT or something. Anyway, he was in tech, got into Twitch, and was like, Amon, yeah, we do this. We'll help you get set up, help you buy let you know what equipment to buy for your PC, to your capture card, camera, microphone, all the stuff, right? That I know I mastered now. And so he get me set up, and he said, "Oh, by the way, are you going to Super Bowl by any chance?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm going. I'm part of the Legends community. I'm a coordinator. I'll be there." And he said, "Oh, well, our offices are there in San Francisco." And I'm like, "Bet." I said, "Let's set up a time to meet and hang out and whatever." We did. So we meet with John. We get off the plane that day, get to our hotel. He's waiting for us in the lobby. He walks me over to, it was walking distance from our hotel to the Twitch offices. We walk around. I get introduced to everybody in the office, and I'm sitting here like, wow, this is so cool. I'm like, basically, I could be my own HBO. I could be my own ESPN. I'm thinking like big stuff. I'm like, this is
You're like,
crazy.
this is my big break. Forget the NFL.
Yes, I'm like, I could have Amon Green TV, and boom, that's where the Gamers Lounge started, right? And I was just like, oh, so I started streaming, the games I love to play, and then starting to watch. And so what I did, just like anything else, because of football, I was watching other streamers, studying what they did, how they talked, what games they played, what time, how long they would stream for, and this, that, and the other. Doing my research, just like in football, to get better at my craft. I'm watching regular people, not regular people. I'm watching people like on ESPN now doing their own podcasts, and seeing the professionals basically come down a notch to make more money, even though they're working for ESPN or NFL Network or CBS Sports or NBC Sports. Everybody's doing a podcast now. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're doing podcasts. I know I damn sure could do a podcast. I know more about football than they do,
Right.
and I know this thing.
And
I know
video
about,
games.
yeah, and video games and movies and whatever. I say, okay. And that's where the Gamer Lounge was started. And it was first called Gaming and Culture, because that it just clicked in my head, because that's what my culture was gaming, and the culture behind gaming was the comic books, the anime, the Star Wars movies, Star Trek movies, what controller you got to play this game, what PC you got to play that game. That was the culture behind it. So that's where it came from. And then so that was like 2016. And then around 2019, that's when I just came up with it. One day I just said, hey, babe, I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the name. I'm gonna call it a Mind Grease. It's because it's my show. I'm gonna call it Mind Grease Gamer. It's a gamers lounge because we're sitting there, we're all gamers and we're just lounging, talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And boom, that's how it started. And then by this time I got approached, not too far after that, that's when I got approached by Craig and Gus. They said, hey, what you doing, in the podcast space? I said, well, I already been streaming on Twitch. And they like both of them at the same time. What's Twitch? I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, there's no way they would know about what that is.
Nah. And I'm like, okay, let me educate you real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I told them what Twitch was. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, what's this about? He's like, oh, we got former players that are doing shows on Alumni Media Network on YouTube right now. I said, well, I'm on YouTube too. I simul-stream on simulcast on YouTube as well. They're like, what? You do what? I'm like, trust me, I know more than y'all ever got in your brain right now about content creating. They're Probably. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. They're like, oh, okay. I said, okay. So I started working with them. And then still doing the Mind Grease Gamers Lounge, still doing a Mind Green TV streaming just my games, and then making connections. Like when 2015 hit, that's when I was like, wait a minute, let me get locked in a little bit more because I was just fanboying it, right? I was going to E3, I was going to Comic-Con, I was going to DreamHack, and I was being a fanboy. I was just geeking out. If I got free stuff, I was happy, which I did because people would be like, oh man, you're Mind Green Bay Packer, running back.
Yeah.
Here's a game code for Madden. Here's a game code for Call of Duty. Here's a game code for this game called Fortnite. It's brand new. I'm like, okay, thank you.
That's crazy to think about that. It was like, you telling me this in real time and saying this was happening in 2015, 2016. Yes. I'm like, holy moly. Like the world is just so crazy how things just come around, right? Yes. Everything comes around. But do you have a favorite video game of all time?
Yeah. Oh, it's a tough one, but I do have a couple. But I'll say this. I go by my childhood to now. And so my childhood favorite game was, I would say it's a toss-up. It's a game called Gyromite. Not many people know about that game. It's a Nintendo like first generation game with Rob the Robot. If you heard of him. And that was a game where Rob the Robot would help you like open doors in the game. So it was like a peripheral to the Nintendo. And then Super Mario Brothers. That's my other favorite. Now it's Halo and then Madden. Those are my two favorite that I play every day, all day. Actually, I haven't played Madden, or I haven't played Halo in a couple of days. I got to get on it. I don't want to get rusty. I play Madden. That's my coffee. I get up in the morning. I play a game. And win or lose, I play one game. And then I get my day started.
You can't end on a loss, though.
I do. I know. It's tough. Trust me, it is tough. But I gotta look at my watch. It's like, all right, you got to get stuff done. You better.
Do you play like online?
Yeah, I play online. I tell myself, hey, you got to get a dub because if I lose,
do you think people realize on the other side of it that they're playing Amon Green and Madden right now?
No, they don't know unless they know my gamer tag. And every now and then, I'm over it now. It took me a while. I had to get past it because I didn't want people messing up my joy. Because you got toxic people online, right?
Oh, especially when you're playing Madden. Yes. Like
I've played against guys online like are trash talking me. They don't even know who I am. Yeah. And the one guy a couple years ago, I'm in Houston now. So this time, probably like 2 years ago when I'm playing online, this dude is just chomping. He is talking crap, being toxic. You suck. You need to go kill yourself. Boom, 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 all this stuff. And I said, hey, bro. I said, if you were sitting next to me right now, I don't think you would be saying any of this stuff. I said, I'm a former NFL player, bro. I was like, so if you sitting right next to me, what you think is going to happen? You all this trash talking. And he just like got real quiet. I said, see? I said, or I could have been an 8-year-old. You just shattered his mind. You just shattered his whole outlook of playing video games. You're talking about his mama. You talking about he should die. What you think that 8-year-old is going to do? He's like, oh, man, you know what? I'm sorry. I say, exactly. I'm a grown man. I could take this. I said, but if you had a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old trying to just play games and have fun and you just being toxic.
Yeah.
What fun is that for them? Nothing, because they don't understand what you're saying, and then they might even not even they use the stuff you were saying. They might not even understand it. So their ignorance might keep them out of that place of I don't want to play online no more, mom.
Right.
Don't
Right.
put I don't want to play
Or
Mac.
they can internalize it, and that just creates even bigger problems. So it's really
Exactly.
interesting.
So I said, dude, straight. I said, bro. I said, you need to slow it down. And the good thing was now Xbox and PlayStation, you could report people. So now when I get toxicity from a guy playing Madden against me online, I don't even say nothing. I let them do all their yip yap, and then at the end of the game, win or lose, I go to the little area and report them, harassment, racist, sexist, whatever they have on there. And they have a whole lot of stuff. I'll report it, then click. All right, handle business. Because I had a friend of mine that found out. That's how I know how they have like a 3-strike system when you're
Uh-huh.
toxic online. It
Um,
is. So once you get hit one, you're banned anything from 3 days to a week. You get hit again, you get banned again. Now it's a month. And then 3, it's indefinitely. You're done. It's like it goes like that. So I was like, bro, what are you doing? He said, man, I can't help it, man. I said, bro, you better help it.
you better help it.
Because you getting banned, and what you got to do, so how you get back online is you create another email, then you can start another account, because that's how they track you, is by your
Yeah.
email. And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, how many emails you got? He said, man, I got like 100 emails. I said, you
Yeah.
got problems. You need to stop being toxic. It's not that hard, bro. It is
Yeah,
not
like
that hard.
why is that so hard? Yeah,
For
why is
for
that
for a
so
lot
hard
of
to wrap your
gamers
brain
is
around?
Yeah, it is. For a lot of gamers. I learned this my first year coaching at Lakeland, and that's something I've done. Coaching esports at 2 universities, Lakeland University and the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. For the gamers that I met year one in 2020 at Lakeland, and then from there on, the hard part about it is I say a lot of them don't get the coaching on it. Just like I got coached in
Mm,
football and baseball. I grew up playing football, baseball, basketball, and track, and I played a little volleyball in middle school. And so you learn, you know, how to hold yourself accountable. You don't point the finger at your teammates if something goes wrong in a game, because those teammates are the same teammates you got to depend on in the next game.
right.
There was no development of that in esports players that I started coaching. But trust me, real quick, they figured it out that if they don't stop being toxic, they're gonna get real strong. Because every time I heard a cuss word or I heard somebody trying to belittle somebody online, I say, give me 15 push-ups. Or if you can't do push-ups, you know what? Give me some wall sits, homie. Because we don't talk like that in this esports room. I say,
And
figure
that's
yourself
coaching.
out. Yeah, I say, figure yourself out, or eventually you're gonna be off the team. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't put up with that. I don't want no first round a-hole. I want well-rounded human beings that wants to come here and game and have fun, but also know how to be team players. We're
Mhm.
not here to
And just
disrespect each other.
decent people. Yeah.
Just decent people, right? And so, yeah, so that was part of my journey too. Being an esports coach, teaching a a generation of athletes how to be good people. Like I'm not even coaching Fortnite. I'm coaching like what happened at home. Is this home training? Wasn't an effect? I said, because I know my
Yeah.
mom and dad, they were on me every
Did not raise me
day.
like
I was washing dishes, putting them away, cleaning my room. If I wanted to do anything, I had to do something first. That's how my mom and dad worked. They say, I could say, so but before I hit 10 years old, I already knew the routine. So it was like when I was 5 and 6, I'd be like, Mom, Dad, can I go over Miles' house? They were like, you clean your room? I'd be like, nope, go clean your room. I'm like, dang. I was
and
like,
then you don't even wanna ask again because it's like, what
yeah,
else you gonna ask me to clean?
right. And
I
so
I learned very quickly growing up. I used to literally there was like 1 or 2 years growing up where I didn't even ask my parents to go do anything because I knew what they were gonna say, and I knew my
yeah,
room was like it wasn't even dirty. It was dirty in their eyes. That was the other thing that
correct,
got me because it
correct.
wasn't like you have like a small little corner of clothes in the corner of your
Mm,
room, and if that was there, your room's dirty. It's
yeah,
a pigsty. It's a hot mess. You can't go anywhere.
yeah,
And then I'm like, oh well, I'm just not gonna ask to go anywhere. I'm just gonna sit my butt at home and do my own thing because it's not worth it.
right. Yep. So it was like me. I was more counselor than a esports coach, in my first couple of
Mm,
years at Lakeland in my first semester at Nebraska too. So, going from there and creating, getting part of connecting with the Believe Network, which I believe is a CBS affiliate of podcasters. So connected with them too. So when alumni media was going on, they said, Craig said to me, "Hey, this is non-exclusive, so you can keep doing what you want to do." I'm like, perfect. So I started doing other podcasts. So I did Believe in Packers with Gilbert Brown and Dorsey 11, my teammates. We did that for a couple years. And then Amon Green TV kept going, and Amon Green's Gamers Lounge still doing that. Now, like I mentioned before we came live, Craig now has switched over. Gus went, stepped away, and no hard feelings, all, a gentleman thing. Like, man, you know what? Do what you do. We're going to do this a little different. So we have NIL TV Esports now, and I'm the co-founder of that. And so with NIL TV, True Blue TV, which is a part of, we bringing in all the Duke athletes and introducing them to my world. So in our world as content creators. So we're going to
mm,
basically take the athletic department of Duke and take them down the road of, this is being a content creator. You can play video games, you can be in IRL, situations where you're talking about like this right here. You're coming on a show with Giovanni Scroggins to talk about your career before you got a scholarship at Duke or after
mm,
Duke. What are you doing after Duke? We got a young lady that's part of our staff. I think her last name is Emily Cole, and she was one of the first NIL athletes. She actually went to DC to in front of the Supreme Court and all that stuff. So she's a badass, about speaking up about NIL, what it is
mm.
for college athletes today. So she's a part of our team, and now we're working with a university. And my whole plan is I got 2 or 3 other universities, a couple HBCUs that I have in the back of my. They already contacted them saying, "Hey, be ready. We're gonna be doing this in the next couple of years, growing out what kids can do today, what I couldn't do. I couldn't
Right.
accept money. I couldn't work for nothing. I had to work in the summer, during summer school back in 1995, 96, and 97. I couldn't do that. I couldn't, I had to work during the summer. I couldn't work during the school year. I couldn't do anything to get paid outside of my scholarship. If not, it was get taken away. You know, now these kids, can do it. So it's amazing. I love it. I say now is just a part of, just like anything else. You got another new thing in the world of sports at the college level. Okay,
Yeah.
let's master that. Let's learn it. Like, don't just don't get educated on it.
Right.
Teach your players what this NIL money means, how to manage it. Get some financial advisors in the business that can then teach your athletes what as a coach, so they know how to manage their money and that and manage now become they're professional athletes already. Even though they're at Texas, they're at Kentucky, or at USC or whatever, and Nebraska,
Yeah.
they got to now be on the mindset I was back in 1998 when I got to drafted to the Seahawks. They got to be
Mm.
that at a freshman
Yeah.
in college now. So it's I was happy when I found out about it, and I just said, hey, I said it's only a downside if the kid doesn't get the education behind it. That's the downside. If their mother or father or the university doesn't take responsibility and say, hey, we're going to give these kids financial advice
The
because they
tools,
have
the
to.
resources.
Exactly. you
Yeah.
know so I love it. I love it. As long as they do that for them, I love what's going on, because we didn't have that opportunity, just like I didn't have that opportunity, just like athletes before me. Like, they looked at us like, oh, y'all got everything at Nebraska, and I'm like, okay. And then now I could say that now, like, man, y'all getting
Yeah.
paid beyond a scholarship, because scholarship only meant so much money for your books and room and board, and that was it.
That
So
yeah.
I'm super excited for these young people today. They could do that. And just now they got to get into that business mindset though. And people like Emily is one of them. She has a fantastic view on things. And to be at that age, I would have been like, if I was at that age at that time for me, I would have been the same
Mhm.
thing. I've been doing commercials. I've been, playing on Twitch and doing all
All
this
of it.
stuff, and playing
Yeah.
football on top of that, winning national
Why not?
titles and beasting at Madden, online. So
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
there's a certain platform that you get when you're already a D1 athlete and you're already at a good university and a good
Mhm.
program there, that comes with the platform. So it's now NIL has basically given these athletes a chance to utilize that and utilize their
Yeah.
voice. I think there's been I don't know if there might be a couple, but every single episode in season 2 of BTS, we've talked about NIL and the landscape of it and how it's evolving and ever changing. And me
Yeah.
going being a proud SMU alum, pony up. It's even though I didn't go through it, it's something heavy that
Yeah.
we talk about money and paying players. That's just a part of that school history. But I also
Yeah.
think it's very inspirational and so great for retired players like yourself that are actively choosing to educate and continue to give not only athletes but just people in general the resources and the knowledge to be better, to chase after your dreams, to do that one thing that you don't think you can do but just takes a little bit of willpower and a little bit of discipline to then go and execute. And I think it's super super important. And then like you said
Mhm.
earlier, being a counselor, and like if your mama and your daddy ain't gonna teach you, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna be that
Imma
person in
do
your
it.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you through that. So I think that's something very admirable, and I applaud you for your career, what you've done,
Thank
and
you.
what you will continue to do with all of your great things. I think this
Yeah.
episode has been awesome, and as we
Yep.
wrap up, we can't finish without doing our insider secret. So our insider secret is a segment that we do every single episode, something that I started back in season 1, brought
Okay.
back in season 2 because I thought it was so cool. And basically your insider secret is a moment, a story, or a piece of advice that you haven't really necessarily told anyone. Quotes. So
Mhm.
Amon, what is your insider secret?
Oh, man, insider secret, man. I would have to say I got a lot of them. 'em. I'll say one for
I can
sure.
imagine.
Yeah, I got a lot of them. I'll say in the last 5 years, been doing my Gamers Now podcast. I've been, we bring on a special guest. Probably I try to do once a month. At when I first started, now we're about twice a month. We get individuals come on, some gamers, some we've had a couple mental health advocates, companies, or 501(c)(3)s come through, and content creators, obviously from Twitch, from YouTube. And at one event I did, I think I met him in person first. He goes by the name of Grand Pooh Bear, and he's a retro gamer, so he plays all the old stuff that I like. So
Mm.
Super Mario Brothers, all of those. And he's what do they call? They call it a I think the top of his category of gamer is he is a speed runner. So he finished the games as fast as possible. So he does that. And so he plays Super Mario Brother like I played football. It's like effortless at how he jumps up and down and doesn't miss a jump, goes backwards and spins and all that up and down with the little Goombas and everything. He is balling on that stuff. And then he does sim racing. He does all this stuff. So I asked him the question when he on my show, when he came on as a guest. I said, because I met him at this event. I said, hey, Grant, I do a podcast. I would love to have you on there just to talk about your streaming career, where it started and all that. And so he's like, yeah, here's my email, hit me up, give me the dates and time. Boom. Did all that. Got him on. We're talking. And he talked about his career in life, and he got a real he was into either bike racing or motor car racing physically, like riding bikes, and got in a real bad accident that basically took some feeling away. I think I think he was having problems with his back or something like that. So that's what got him to gaming,
Mm.
because he wasn't really mobile anymore. He could walk and talk. He could use both arms. So he didn't lose uh, of his extremities. He didn't lose that. He just had little areas that were still a problem. So he said, I just got good at gaming and speed running. I found the games that I like, and now I play those. And he's making a living, a bigger living that he was with the motocross and all that.
Yeah.
And I asked him, the question is, because I was, like I said, still fresh in the industry. I never look at like I know everything. So I'm like, from one pro to another in this content creator space, what is one thing that you tell people what you have to do to become that person in content creation, to be noticed? He said, just stay consistent, And it was like, wow, it's like that's kind of what I did in football. He said, just continue to be everywhere all at once. And I'm like, what you mean? I said, because that's tough. He's like, so he said, I stream on everything. You know,
Mm.
I have a StreamYard similar to this, or it's StreamYard, it's Restream. Restream, you could stream on 3 or 4 different channels, 5 from Restream. Here on StreamYard, you could do 5 or 6. So he said, I stream to at the same time. I stream to Twitch, I stream to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, sometimes LinkedIn, you know. And I'm like, oh, he said, just be on it all the time and just stay consistent. Whenever your time of day that you say that you're going to be on at that time. If it's just Friday at 2 o'clock once a month or once a week, you know, the 4 Fridays of the month, make sure you're on Friday at 2 o'clock. Boom, boom, boom. And then obviously have some, you may not be somebody in the beginning with a big personality, let it grow. I say what got me, I mean, where I'm at now, because I wasn't a big talker.
Mm.
And then I realized that so I had to think about what the things that got me talking. And so I was like, wait a minute, okay, that's easy. Football and video games and Batman. As you see there, Batman right there, you
Yeah,
know.
you gotta throw that one in there.
Yeah, I was like, so I just started talking about that stuff, you know, and of course, boom. Then I got a whole chat of people talking about Bruce Wayne or talking about, you know, that the Bears still suck or, you know, God of War and all that. So I found my people.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, then it just made more sense. And it was easy to do because something I knew from football, I learned like once you tell me exactly the game plan, you know, I tell people when we're working together, hey, you're the quarterback, I'm the running back. Just give me the play. Tell me exactly what to do. Because if you don't tell me exactly what to do, if I mess up, it's on you, not me.
Mm. Mm.
I tell everybody. I tell my wife that. I tell my kids that. I tell people Craig that. I told Craig that. I say, bro, you tell me something, you better tell me exactly every little detail step that you did to do it. Because if I miss a detail, that means you forgot to tell me.
Mm.
Because I remember telling a running back coach that way back when I was in I think I was in Green Bay. No, I was in Seattle or Green Bay. Anyway, and I said to them, he's yelling at me, "Oh, Green, you messed up MF this and MF that." And I said, "Hold up, time out. I'm 23 years old. My mom and dad don't even talk like this to me anymore." I said, "You told me to do this, this, and this. That means you forgot something. So you yelling at me, that's not gonna that's
Not
not
gonna
gonna
do
rattle
anything.
me."
Yeah.
I said, "Because that's your fault." I said, "So stop yelling and cussing and do your job and coach me up. Tell me what I'm supposed to do the right way so we don't have to have this conversation again."
Yeah.
Because you cussing at me don't do nothing. I could call my dad, get cussed out. I'm like, but you're missing the coaching aspect of what your job has to do right now because you keep cussing at me. You know what I'll do when you keep cussing at me? I'm gonna ignore you. I'm gonna just turn off my ears and look the other way because I was like, oh, he's just cussing. He's not trying to coach me up. I'm here to get better. That's what I told him. I'm here to get better. And I'm here to make you better too. You don't realize this as coaches. We as athletes can make you better if you listen to us really good. Because sometimes you may not have to coach us because we already know things that we don't realize we know it. And that's one thing I'll say that's another secret thing that I learned about myself. Like you yourself, you have power. You may know
Mm.
things from another scenario. Like for example, how I got going in this whole another secret. I'm giving up secrets all the time.
We love it.
Everybody was like, my first year at Lakeland University. You know, I have all these video gamers around me in our facility, and of course, they're questioning me. You a football player? Why are you coaching video games? And I was like, um, okay, true. Yeah, I'm not great at. I barely know how to play League of Legends. Okay. But I told him without even him asking that question, that's what I said first before he asked his question. I said, look, I'm not good at League of Legends. I'm not good at Dota. I'm decent at Call of Duty. Madden, I'm great at. Right. And so he asked me that question. What do you've played football for your entire life? How did you get hired? Not how, but why are you our coach? I said, if anything, I'm your coach because I know what teamwork looks like.
Mm.
League of Legends is a game of 5 people, right? 5, 6 people, right? And that means everybody, from the sixth player to the first player, they got a role. I know those roles. It's AD carry, it's mid laner, it's a top laner, it's a health, it's a healer, and it's somebody who's a sniper. So I know what you're supposed to do. So if you're not doing your job, I'm gonna call you out on it, or I'm gonna teach you something you may not know about it. So I don't have to know the whole game of League of Legends. I just gotta know what your role is and to help you get better at that role.
Right.
And one thing I know is do not point out things to your teammates' mistakes. No, we all gonna make mistakes. You can't point, oh man, why are you messing up? You did this. Yeah, you're gonna lose your teammate real fast.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna want to listen to you. And he's like, oh, I said, yeah. So I know how to win. I've won in a lot of different crazy things you wouldn't think I won at. I played volleyball. We won. I was a captain on the volleyball team when I was a kid. I was a captain on one of my football teams. We won. We won. Not only did we win the city championship, we won a national championship when we went down to Daytona Beach, Florida. Because I understood what leadership is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm here. So what I learned from football, baseball, and basketball, I just brought it over to the video game world because it matches up.
It correlates.
It correlates. It's League of Legends, a team of 6 players, now 5. I think now it's 5. Fortnite, it's 4. It's either 4 or 3 or 2v2. Madden, that's his football. So there you go. NBA 2K, again, a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the easy part. That's the easy adjustment. I'm not adjusting. Y'all adjusting to me because I'm bringing stuff from my world to y'all world.
You. Yeah.
Because that first summer I did 2-a-days. I threw 2-a-days at them. And I had a player question me. He said, why are we practicing? I said, hold up.
You're not a football team. We play video games.
What planet are you from where you think you just show up to play and you ready to go without practice? Just tell me. Right. Let me know. You could think about it. I'll give you 5 minutes. Come back and let me know. Come back and let me know in what universe where there's competition where you don't practice before the game. Just let me know and then come back to me in 5 minutes. And he did. Okay, coach. Yeah, you got me on that one. I said, exactly. We got to practice together to get to know each other, to see how everyone works. I can see how y'all work. Y'all going to learn how each other work together. If you like somebody, you don't. Because if you find out you don't like a person and they're your teammate, y'all better work that out.
Yeah.
Y'all going to have to work that out real fast because y'all are now teammates. Y'all hooked at the hip. That means y'all got to work together. Y'all got to have some common respect to get past whatever you don't like about each other and work together as a team. So that means you're growing as a person. If you're dealing with somebody you don't like, but you're going to respect the fact that you're teammates and follow through with your job and get it finished and execute it and not blame the fact that you don't like them or they don't like you, because of whatever. Or he thinks he's suspect or you cap all the time. Like I'm hearing all this new verbiage too. And I'm like, what's cap? Like, what the hell is cap?
Yeah.
What's sus? Oh, suspect? Oh, okay. I got you.
Okay. Isn't that interesting how it's like full circle when you like are the old guy in the room of like trying to coach up these and kids.
I like it too. I think it's hilarious because my mom and dad, I remember my mom and dad saying stuff like that to me. Boy, what are you talking about? What are y'all saying these days? What the heck? We old, but that was those. I mean, but those are the little secrets, but it's not really secrets when you think about it. It's fundamentals of teamwork and leadership. It's just those fundamentals now are lost. It's a lost art in a lot of sports, and I think in life in general, especially since COVID. Oh my God, it's one of those areas that a lot of people don't hit on because nobody wants to go down that road because nobody wants to be real. I think that's what it is. Everybody's afraid to really say what they want to say and get it off their chest in a situation when it's time to say something. Because I'm that person. Trust me, if I'm on a team and something ain't right, I'm standing up like, hey y'all, we need to get this together. Yeah, excuse me. We got a problem here. We losing. I don't like losing. So I know where I messed up. I know where I messed up. Do y'all understand where y'all messed up? That's all I want to know. Tell me where y'all went wrong. Because I know where I went wrong. I missed that tackle.
And let's
I
work
didn't
together and let's work through it.
exactly. So that's the people that I look for. I look for people that understand that right there, knowing now I'm not going to point the finger at anybody but myself before I look at
Mm,
anything or say anything to anybody else to make sure I'm got it right. Or if I don't, I need to fix it. It's me first. So those are
yeah.
my little secrets of success or what have you on the show to that I think a lot of people don't go down that road because they might be afraid, you know, rock the boat. I've been down that road where I didn't want to rock the boat, and now I learned. I'm like, no, I'm rocking that boat. I'm gonna rock that boat till everybody fall off if I have to.
Turning it over.
I've turned that boat
It's gonna
over.
be submerged.
Yeah, like nah, we gonna get this straight. Hold up. Mm-mm.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, thank you for sharing those insider secrets, Amon. And
Mm-hmm.
thank you for just coming on the show, sharing your truth, being real, being so
Mm-hmm.
unapologetically your authentic full self. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Hey, no problem.
That is going to do it for yet another episode of BTS Behind the Sports Show. Thank you so much for listening to this episode in its entirety. I know it was a long one, but I hope y'all got to hear. If you were educated, I hope you were educated, but at the very least, I hope you got to hear a good story that kind of changed your perspective a little bit about these players and how we view these players. This is not something that was just exclusive to just Amon. A bunch of players go through the adversity, the emotions, the heartbreak, the triumphs of being a professional athlete, of playing in the NFL. So I really hope y'all got something out of it. Outside of that, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Behind the Sports Show. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Giovanna Scroggins on Instagram and TikTok as well. We're back here every single Tuesday and bringing y'all more episodes. This is what I do every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Central Time. We're dropping more BTS episodes. Beware, season 2 is only a 17 episode season. So next week will be 10 episodes in our season 2. After that, we only have 7 more, but they're going to be 7 more great episodes. So make sure you're staying tuned. Make sure you subscribe. You're following the show. Keep up with what we're doing. We are growing every single day, and it's honestly so humbling and so amazing to see. I appreciate everyone that supports and watches and listens to these shows. This is something that I am truly passionate about. I always say that it's an honor to be able to talk to these people and to do this every single day, every single week, and give y'all the real stuff behind the scenes of the sports industry. So, as always, keep supporting, keep celebrating, and keep being curious about what happens behind the sport.